Working with birds has been a completely different experience from working with, say, dogs and cats and cattle. There are multiple experiences and learnings that came out of this journey, and we are, of course, still learning and understanding. The first step of it all was unlearning almost all that I previously knew about rescuing and really just delving deeper into the study of birds and their ecosystem, so to speak. If I remember correctly, the first injured bird that was handed to me was a crow. And given that I had no experience with birds, I went around in search of rescue spaces and NGOs. I was quite taken aback when I came to realize how little we are equipped with handling birds, as I was not confident about any organization that I went to. So I read up extensively, researched, and talked to various professionals, something that I didn't have to do much earlier. This was entirely new and also very engulfing, as the exposure was to a very new kind of information, and to practically learn it has taken a lot of patience and practice. With birds, I also started out from my own home. Our house became the base. In early days, when we started out, and as the word of mouth got around, we started receiving a lot of birds who needed help, medication, etc. So my mother and I, we started taking them in, and we had to shift into the living room as there were so many different species. They couldn't be kept together in a single place, else they would hurt each other. So we kept them in separate rooms while living in the hall all the while. It was an experience in itself. The care involved here also had an aspect of personal knowledge building, learning, and adjustment of our own lives to accommodate and cohabit with an entirely different species. And I realized that wild birds do not like to be handled by humans, no matter how much they might need you at that time. And they most certainly do not like to be caged, controlled, and restricted. You can spend months with a bird, feeding it, medicating it, and finally curing it. But in the end, the bird is waiting for an opportunity to get as far away from you as possible and never look back. Maybe this is the reason why very few people get involved with bird rescues. They are unable to receive the affection that they so enjoy getting from rescue dogs and cats. I'm not certain if this was our second, third, or fourth rescue, but it certainly was one of our earliest. This was the case of a very small baby of a rose-ringed parakeet, the green tota that we commonly see in the wild. The Indian tota is illegal to keep in India, and some person saw a neighbor who had purchased it from the market, and of course that too is illegal in our country. They had rescued it from the owners of the parakeet, and they brought it to us so we can try and raise it and set it free in the future. So this was our very first experience of raising a tiny newborn baby. And there is so much joy in being able to see a tiny little thing grow and take responsibility for its health, its well-being, and of course, a well-developed growth. So me and my mother, we took it up on ourselves, and we did a lot of research and studied about it in terms of what kind of bedding a baby needs, what kind of temperature is suitable, what kind of diet should be fed to the baby. Of course, the experience taught us a lot. So that was the first challenge, to raise the baby, and we managed. Now, when the baby grew up and it started flying and using its wings, our next challenge was to understand how this bird, raised by humans, was to be introduced to the wild, and for it to be introduced in the sense that it should be able to survive in the wild and also interact with its own species, learn how to live with its own species, hunt for food, and decide which is a safe place to rest, etc. It was a big cause of worry for us and something we did not know much about. So, once again, we started reading a lot and reading from rehabilitators and international papers and so on. So, once we gained that knowledge, we took the baby, which was now a juvenile. A juvenile is a bird which is no longer a baby but is also not a complete adult. So, we started bringing it wild fruits. We started getting fruits that grow on trees in Delhi. Also, we started identifying colonies of parakeets around our house. Since parakeets are in huge numbers in Delhi, that was not a problem for us. Then, when the baby became independent, started flying around in the room, we decreased our interaction, which is very important because otherwise birds become human imprinted or largely dependent on humans, and they will find it difficult to adjust in the wild. So we started putting it in a cage and took it to the place where other parakeets were living in the wild. And we used to hang the cage in that particular area. We did that for about 2 to 3 weeks. We used to do it twice a day. And from day one, all these parakeets from the wild used to come to our bird and they used to meet it, they used to talk to it, call for it, and they started putting little pieces of fruits inside their cage for our bird. Some of them also started to handle the cage and tried to set the bird free. They would get very restless and try to get the bird out of the cage. After about 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks, one day we decided to just open the door of the cage. So while the birds visited our parakeet, we had already kept the door slightly open, and our bird immediately just rushed out of the cage and flew away with all of them. I think the experience of raising a tiny baby and then finding a way to set it free with its own kind, and how beautifully this turned out, was extremely fulfilling for us. And it taught us so much. It taught us how to raise babies and how to rehabilitate them. And this knowledge has stayed with us till today. Birds that are kept as pets, even for years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, it doesn't matter. We encourage people to bring them to us, and we take months to rehabilitate them and help them set free, so that they can be out of the cage and be in the wild, a place they have always called their own. Having said this, I believe that to become a bird rescuer, what is needed is for one to prioritize respect over love and objectivity over emotions. Help birds because you respect and acknowledge their importance in the cycle of nature and wildlife, not because you love birds. Approach each rescue with an attitude of understanding what the bird needs from you, not what it can give back to you in an emotional sense. In this segment, I would like to perform a song which I had written and composed some time back. This one is called Sunrise Safari. And this song is written and performed from the perspective of a bird which has been caged either as a pet or as a commodity to be sold in a pet shop. And in this song, the bird is communicating, it is expressing its feelings about how it wishes its life would have been. So this is from the perspective of a caged bird. This one is called Sunrise Safari. A 100 feet up high, a hiding place that I'd call home, a flutter of the tail, view below, which would be a miracle. I'd warm up to the sun. I'd pucker up each dawn to a brand new day. Feel the dew beneath my feet and the wind across my face. Oh, I'd be on a sunrise safari. No darkness around me anymore. I'd ride on the skyline till time flies, starlight above me. And this is my song. This is my song. Freedom is my song. Freedom is my song. Should I wait for night to fall and the angels to come find me? Will they hold me in their hands? Will they say a prayer to comfort me? Will they set me free? Oh, please let me be. So I'd be on a sunrise safari. No darkness around me anymore. I'd ride on the skyline till time flies, starlight above me. And this is my song. This is my song. Freedom is my song. Freedom is my